Have you ever wondered why some of the smartest minds shy away from small talk? While many see it as harmless socializing, it's often a trap for the intellectually curious. Imagine a world where deep conversations fuel innovation and superficial chatter is left behind. Today, we uncover the real reason why the most brilliant thinkers avoid small talk, based on timeless philosophy and human nature. Stick around because what you're about to learn might just change how you see social interactions forever. Imagine walking into a social gathering, a networking event, a family reunion, or even a casual coffee shop discussion. Everywhere you look, people are engaging in small talk, weather, recent movies, weekend plans. Meanwhile, inside your mind, a different world exists. Your thoughts are racing with ideas, questions, and insights that crave exploration. Yet, you find yourself smiling politely, participating in trivial exchanges that seem to drain your mental energy more than they satisfy your curiosity. This scene is familiar to many highly intelligent individuals. They often feel like outsiders in social settings, not because they dislike connection, but because their minds seek something deeper. Truths, concepts, the essence of things that a casual chit-chat can never truly satisfy. And so they wear masks, pretending to indulge in superficial conversation while their internal worlds remain restless and unfulfilled. Now let's take a step back and consider why small talk feels so hollow to these minds. Historically, some of humanity's greatest thinkers recognized that superficiality in conversation is more than just boring, it's a barrier to genuine understanding. Philosophers like Schopenhauer, who deeply appreciated the seriousness of human existence and the importance of authentic thought, often criticized society's tendency to indulge in trivialities. Schopenhauer believed that most people use polite conversation as a social lubricant, a way to avoid confronting the uncomfortable truths about life or the self. In fact, for Schopenhauer, and for many others who seek meaning, small talk can be seen as a barrier to the profound connections that lead to insight and growth. It's a social ritual designed to keep everyone comfortable, to maintain harmony on the surface, but at the expense of authenticity. Think about it. How often have you been in a conversation where every word feels like a mask, hiding your true thoughts or feelings? How often do you find yourself pretending to care about a topic just to avoid awkwardness? These interactions can sometimes feel like a chore, an intellectual stifling. For the sharp minds that crave clarity and depth, engaging in endless rounds of small talk is like watering down their unique perspective into a bland, universal mixture that lacks substance. It's as if social convention demands serving a diluted version of oneself, candid insights replaced with polite platitudes. The irony is, many of society's most influential figures, writers, scientists, philosophers, have historically shied away from such trivial pursuits. They prioritized solitude and reflection over petty exchanges. Take Socrates, who famously proclaimed that the unexamined life is not worth living, and who believed that meaningful dialogue fueled the soul. Socrates' method of questioning wasn't meant for small talk. It was aimed at uncovering profound truths that only through deep, deliberate inquiry can be revealed. This is not to say that social connection isn't important. It's a vital part of being human. But the distinction lies in quality versus quantity. Small talk, by its very nature, is typically superficial and fleeting, designed to ease social interactions rather than elevate them. For those with a desire for understanding, it feels more like a distraction, a time-consuming ritual that pulls them away from their pursuit of knowledge. Here's a striking thought. Many geniuses, from Einstein to Nietzsche, found their moments of pure creativity in solitude. Their minds flourished not in the chatter of superficial acquaintances, but in the silence that allowed for deep contemplation. Einstein famously said that, "I live in that solitude which is painful in youth but delicious in the years of maturity." To them, engaging in trivial conversations was a fruitless exercise, a drain on their precious mental resources. In essence, intelligent individuals have a heightened sensitivity to the mental energy expended in social exchanges. They often see small talk as a form of mental clutter, noise that drowns out the meaningful signals. It's not that they dislike socializing. Rather, they dislike wasting cognitive energy on superficial interactions that could be better used for reflection, creation, or understanding. This raises an important question. Why does society still place so much emphasis on small talk? The answer lies in the social fabric's demand for harmony, politeness, and belonging. It's a kind of social currency, a way to maintain relationships and avoid conflict. But as we'll see in the coming chapters, this social norm can unintentionally stifle the very brilliance we admire. In the end, the story of the highly intelligent mind and small talk is a story about authenticity. It's about recognizing that beneath the veneer of social civility lies a profound desire for genuine connection, one that requires vulnerability, concentration, and sometimes silence. For the thinker or the truth seeker, avoiding trivial chatter isn't arrogance. It's a choice to protect their mental clarity and stay true to their pursuit of deeper understanding. So, next time you find yourself in a meaningless conversation, remember this: sometimes the most profound act of social rebellion is simply choosing to remain silent, to listen deeply, or to steer. Throughout history, some of the greatest minds have understood a fundamental truth: that meaningful progress, whether personal or collective, begins within the quiet sanctuary of the mind. Unlike those caught in the web of superficial conversations, geniuses, thinkers like Leonardo da Vinci, Marie Curie, or Friedrich Nietzsche recognized that moments of solitude and reflection are fertile ground for innovation, insight, and real understanding. Imagine Nietzsche sitting alone in his study, surrounded by heaps of books and scribbled notes. While others were engaged in trivial social exchanges, Nietzsche was immersed in an internal dialogue about morality, existence, and the nature of truth. Those long hours of solitary thinking weren't a retreat from society. They were the crucible in which his ideas were forged. For Nietzsche, deep thought was not an isolated act but a vital pursuit, a way to grapple with life's most profound questions without the distraction of superficial chatter. What makes deep thought so vital for intelligent minds? First, it allows for the development of critical thinking. Superficial conversations rarely challenge our assumptions. They tend to reinforce existing beliefs or simply fill silence. Deep thinking, however, forces us to question, analyze, and reevaluate everything we hold to be true. It pushes the boundaries of our understanding and opens the door to discovery and innovation. Moreover, intellectual depth fosters emotional resilience. When we spend time contemplating life's mysteries, be it the nature of consciousness, mortality, or ethical dilemmas, we cultivate a sense of purpose and clarity. These reflections build a framework that helps us stay grounded amid chaos and noise. While many are busy chasing fleeting social validation through small talk, thinkers are building internal fortresses of knowledge and understanding that serve as a foundation for their pursuits. Consider the stories of scientists who dedicated years to solitary labor. Marie Curie, for example, spent countless hours in her laboratory, often isolated from the social world, chasing elusive particles that would eventually revolutionize science. Her breakthroughs weren't born from idle chatter or surface-level socializing. They emerged from relentless focus, deep concentration, and an unyielding desire to understand the universe at its most fundamental level. Similarly, many philosophers dedicated their lives to thought experiments and solitary reflection. Descartes famously stated, "I think, therefore I am," emphasizing that certainty begins within the mind through doubt and introspection. His method was rooted in internal inquiry rather than external social validation. For him, the act of deep, methodical thinking was a path to truth, cutting through the noise and superficiality of everyday life. This emphasis on inner reflection also grants a sense of independence and authenticity. When your thoughts are rooted in genuine inquiry and not social performance, your ideas become more original and true to your inner convictions. Unlike conversations that are often driven by the need to impress or conform, deep thought fosters genuine growth. It's a quiet revolution, one where the mind becomes a laboratory for questions rather than a stage for superficial performances. One of the most compelling stories is that of Albert Einstein. Known for his groundbreaking theories, Einstein once said that much of his scientific work arose from extended periods of contemplation, often in solitude. He would spend hours, sometimes days, pondering complex problems in his mind before attempting to formalize his ideas. These moments of introspection and deep focus were essential to his breakthroughs. Einstein understood that the greatest insights come not from idle chatter, but from silent, concentrated thought. Another important aspect of deep thinking is the development of a personal philosophy, an internal compass that guides your actions and decisions. Thinkers like Immanuel Kant or Søren Kierkegaard spent years immersed in their reflections, constructing a worldview that stood the test of time. Their ideas were not the result of social trends or popular opinions, but were born out of continuous internal dialogue, critical analysis, and the courage to confront uncomfortable truths. Deep thought also nurtures a sense of patience and discipline. It's an act of commitment, sometimes requiring weeks, months, or even years of sustained focus. The path of superficiality is quick and fleeting. It satisfies the immediate craving for social connection but leaves a void in the long run. Deep thinking, by contrast, often involves solitude and perseverance, demanding that we resist the temptation of easy answers and instead strive for clarity and understanding. For individuals driven by curiosity, this inner journey is vital. It's a space where ideas collide, where previously unseen connections emerge, and where new paradigms are born. The quiet of solitude becomes a fertile soil for innovation, an environment free from the distractions of empty conversations and shallow interactions. Of course, society often discourages prolonged reflection. The hustle and bustle of modern life seems designed to keep us occupied with surface-level pursuits. Yet, the most fulfilled and impactful individuals have shown us that embracing solitude, rather than avoiding it, is the key to unlocking the depths of the mind. Superficiality might seem harmless or even momentarily enjoyable, but beneath its surface lies a subtle but profound threat to the curious mind. When conversations remain on the surface, focused on the latest gossip, trivial updates, or broad generalities, they act like a slow poison, gradually dulling our capacity for critical thinking and genuine understanding. At first glance, small talk appears benign, a way to fill awkward silences or forge superficial bonds. But for the intelligent and introspective, it can become a trap, steering the mind away from its natural inclination toward inquiry and depth. Small talk often encourages us to accept surface-level explanations, to gloss over complexities, and to conform to shared platitudes rather than challenge or explore new ideas. This pattern fosters a kind of intellectual complacency, an easy comfort zone that discourages curiosity and critical engagement. One of the greatest dangers of superficiality is that it reinforces cognitive laziness. Engaging in trivial conversations often requires minimal effort, no need for deep analysis or reflection. It's a mental shortcut that preserves energy, but at a cost. It diminishes our ability and willingness to grapple with complex questions. Over time, this habitual avoidance of mental exertion can lead to a dulling of our intellectual faculties, making it harder to think critically or innovate. Furthermore, superficial interactions often promote herd mentality, the tendency to conform to popular opinions and avoid challenging the status quo. When conversations revolve around safe, widely accepted topics, such as mundane daily events or popular opinions, individuality and original thought are stifled. The curious mind thrives on questioning assumptions and breaking free from collective thought. Superficiality, however, encourages acceptance and complacency. Consider the echo chambers of social media, where superficial exchanges dominate. People often share surface-level opinions or memes without engaging in meaningful dialogue. This environment rewards quick reactions rather than thoughtful reflection. As a result, the capacity for critical analysis deteriorates, and individuals become trapped in shallow pools of reinforcement, unable or unwilling to explore deeper truths. Another danger is that superficiality can foster a false sense of connection. Superficial conversations may create the illusion of closeness, but in reality, they generate distance, an emotional and intellectual divide, because they lack vulnerability, sincerity, and depth. For the rare few who hunger for genuine understanding, these shallow exchanges can become frustrating, leaving them feeling isolated despite being surrounded by many interlocutors. In the context of personal growth, superficiality acts as a barrier to self-awareness. When conversations focus solely on external appearances or trivialities, they distract from inward reflection. For instance, when people talk endlessly about gossip, entertainment, or minor social dramas, they neglect to examine their own beliefs, motivations, or life purpose. As philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer pointed out, ignoring the inner life leads to a shallow existence, one that's disconnected from the authentic self and unfulfilled in the long run. There's also a societal impact to consider. When superficiality becomes the norm, entire communities risk stagnation. Societies built on superficial values, such as consumerism, superficial entertainment, or surface-level political discourse, become vulnerable to manipulation, polarization, and decline. Progress requires uncomfortable conversations, debates, and challenging ideas, things that superficiality discourages or undermines. This tendency toward superficiality is often reinforced by modern culture's obsession with instant gratification. The quick click, the fleeting viral post, the ephemeral like, these are the rewards of superficial engagement. They provide immediate validation but fail to nourish the deeper craving for meaning, understanding, and growth. Intelligence and curiosity demand patience, perseverance, and the willingness to confront complexity, traits that superficiality actively discourages. Some might argue that superficial conversations are necessary social lubricants, tools for diplomacy, politeness, or avoiding discomfort. While these are valid points, they come with a caveat. Over-reliance on superficiality can lead to a culture that values appearances over substance. It becomes normalized to stay at the surface, avoiding the discomfort of challenging conversations or confronting uncomfortable truths. This avoidance hampers innovation and understanding because true progress often requires deliberate inquiry into difficult issues that superficial chatter is too shallow to address. Think about the difference between a conversation that leaves you feeling stimulated and one that drains you. Superficial talk often leaves us feeling unfulfilled, craving something more, something deeper that we've been denied. It's like eating fast food regularly, quick and easy, but lacking richness and nourishment. Over time, this diet dulls our taste for truly meaningful interactions and ideas, blunting our capacity to appreciate complexity and nuance. Much of the danger of superficiality lies in its role as a form of mental and emotional avoidance. When facing difficult truths, whether about oneself, society, or philosophical questions, it's tempting to fall into superficial explanations or distractions. Avoidance of complexity is a natural defense mechanism. Arthur Schopenhauer, the German philosopher of the 19th century, offered a profound perspective on human nature and the driving forces behind our motivations. His central concept, the will, represented an insatiable inner force, an underlying urge that propels all human actions, desires, and pursuits. At its core, the will is not merely a biological necessity, but a fundamental metaphysical principle that signifies the subconscious longing for completeness, meaning, and fulfillment. For Schopenhauer, this will manifests in our constant striving, often driven by unconscious motives. We seek pleasure, avoid pain, chase success, or indulge in superficial social interactions, all driven by this relentless inner urge. But crucially, while the surface actions may appear diverse, conversations, work, entertainment, at a deeper level, they are all attempts to satisfy the same fundamental desire for wholeness. Now, how does this relate to social interactions, especially the inclination towards small talk? Schopenhauer believed that many human behaviors are manifestations of the will's attempt to find temporary relief or distraction from its own insatiable nature. Superficial conversations serve as a kind of social balm. They temporarily soothe our need for connection, belonging, or status without confronting the more profound truths of existence. In essence, small talk functions as a superficial shield that masks the underlying restlessness of the human condition. From Schopenhauer's perspective, genuine understanding and authentic connection are deeply rooted in recognizing and embracing the inner will. When someone engages in superficial chatter, they are merely scratching the surface, a superficial layer that conceals the deeper, often darker, truths about human desire and dissatisfaction. Such interactions keep us at a distance from our true selves and from others' true selves, obstructing the possibility of real empathy and insight. Genuine understanding in this view demands a level of honesty that acknowledges the underlying will, our unconscious drives and yearnings, and accepts the inherent suffering and striving that come with it. To truly connect with another person's essence is to see beyond the superficial masks we wear in social settings and to recognize the universal underlying struggle that defines the human experience. Only then can we foster authentic bonds rooted in vulnerability, truth, and shared human imperfection. Schopenhauer emphasized that our pursuit of superficial pleasures, small talk, superficial social roles, fleeting pleasures, are fleeting distractions from this deeper truth. These pursuits momentarily quell the restless agitation within, but they never satisfy. The will's insatiability ensures that no external pleasure or superficial interaction can provide lasting fulfillment. This is why many intelligent individuals instinctively feel dissatisfied with trivial conversations. They sense that beneath the surface lies a deeper hunger for meaning that superficiality cannot satiate. Furthermore, Schopenhauer's ideas reveal that engaging with others on a superficial level often perpetuates a cycle of illusion and disconnection. When people communicate only through small talk, they fail to confront or acknowledge the shared inner struggles, the universal will that connect all humans. This avoidance creates a disconnect, fostering loneliness amid social activity, because true understanding requires vulnerability, openness, and acceptance of our inner drives. On a practical level, Schopenhauer's philosophy suggests that pursuit of superficial interactions is a form of escapism, a way to deny or avoid the uncomfortable reality of human suffering and desire. It's easier to exchange pleasantries about the weather than to confront the existential questions surrounding life's purpose, death, or meaning. Yet, these are precisely the topics that bring us closer to understanding ourselves and others authentically. Schopenhauer's view also sheds light on how societal norms and cultural practices reinforce superficiality. Modern social customs, small talk at meetings, polite conversations, surface-level interactions serve as socially acceptable masks that help us navigate the chaos of human desire without delving into its depths. Such interactions preserve social harmony, but at the expense of authenticity. They prevent us from engaging in honest, heartfelt dialogues that could lead to growth and understanding. The flip side of Schopenhauer's philosophy is that true fulfillment and insight are only possible when we acknowledge the quiet, often painful, truth of human striving, when we accept that life is a constant cycle of longing and disappointment. Genuine connection requires us to confront our inner will openly, to recognize the universal nature of suffering and desire, and to find meaning not in external validation, but within ourselves. In this light, the avoidance of deep, meaningful conversation becomes a defense mechanism. Fear of vulnerability, discomfort with discomfort, and the desire to maintain social harmony all push us towards superficiality. Yet Schopenhauer hints that true freedom and understanding only come through acknowledging the reality of human drives, the suffering and striving that define us, and learning to accept it. In essence, Schopenhauer's philosophy offers a radical insight. Superficiality in social interactions is a symptom of a deeper human condition, an unfulfilled yearning at the core of the will. In society, there exists a powerful force that subtly, yet persistently, encourages us to engage in superficial interactions. From childhood through adulthood, we are conditioned to prioritize politeness, harmony, and social acceptance over authenticity and depth. These social norms are woven into the fabric of daily life. Greetings are shallow, small talk is expected, and critics of surface-level conversations are often viewed as rude or aloof. While these norms serve important functions, such as maintaining social cohesion, they also act as barriers to genuine understanding, particularly for those with analytical, inquisitive minds. Even the most brilliant thinkers, artists, and scientists are subject to these societal pressures. Imagine a highly intelligent individual unwittingly caught in a social web where engaging in trivial chatter is the price of entry into social circles, professional environments, or family gatherings. The unspoken rule is, keep it light, keep it superficial. The more profound a person's ideas or interests, the more they risk being perceived as strange, distant, or unapproachable if they refuse to participate in the social dance of small talk. This tension between authenticity and conformity creates a persistent internal conflict. On the one hand, the intelligent individual may long for deep conversations, genuine connection, and the sharing of meaningful ideas. On the other, they face societal expectations, explicit or implicit, that require them to suppress their true nature to fit in. The fear of social exclusion, of appearing rude, or of being misunderstood compels even the brightest minds to mute their curiosity and adopt the persona of the agreeable, unthreatening participant in superficial exchanges. The social fabric often rewards conformity with acceptance, status, and a sense of belonging. People are social animals. After all, they are wired to seek approval and affirmation from others. When someone challenges the norm by refusing small talk or pushing for meaningful dialogue, they risk social alienation. This risk is especially acute in environments where superficiality is the norm, such as corporate offices, political circles, or even casual social events. Over time, the pressure to conform can weigh heavily on individuals, gradually eroding their desire to engage authentically. Moreover, societal structures reinforce this superficiality. Media, advertising, and entertainment industries are built on quick hits of entertainment, short, catchy messages designed to be instantly digestible. These platforms prioritize surface-level content, memes, viral videos, sound bites that reward instant gratification over intellectual engagement. As a result, the cultural environment discourages sustained contemplation or nuanced discussion, fostering a collective mindset that prefers simplicity, safety, and brevity over complexity, depth, and vulnerability. Educational systems, too, often emphasize rote learning and standardized testing, discouraging critical thinking and creative inquiry. Students are rewarded for memorization and conformity rather than curiosity and original ideas. In such an environment, even the most curious minds learn early on that questioning authority or challenging conventional wisdom is risky or frowned upon. Over years, this conditioning shapes individuals to value social acceptance above all, sometimes at the expense of their intellectual integrity. In the professional realm, the pressure to appear agreeable and maintain diplomacy often leads to avoidance of controversial or challenging topics. For example, in corporate boardrooms or political debates, discourse is frequently sanitized, edited to fit a narrative that avoids offending stakeholders or alienating audiences. Here, the courageous pursuit of truth or innovation often takes a backseat to maintaining harmony or avoiding conflict. In such environments, deep insights and discussions are sacrificed on the altar of social stability. This societal tendency towards superficiality can be especially isolating for the thinker, the creator, or the truth seeker. They might feel compelled to hide their passions or suppress their opinions because revealing them might cause misunderstanding or rejection. Consider the brilliant scientist who hesitates to share revolutionary ideas because they seem too abstract or controversial, or the philosopher who restrains their challenging perspectives to avoid social ridicule. The fear of societal disapproval acts as a powerful deterrent, prompting many to conform outwardly while their inner worlds remain unfulfilled and longing for authentic expression. This conflict isn't merely personal, it affects societal progress. When a culture emphasizes superficiality over substance, it stifles innovation, critical questioning, and true empathy. Societies built on surface-level interactions tend to avoid confronting uncomfortable truths, be it economic inequality, environmental degradation, or social injustice, because those conversations are inherently difficult and require vulnerability. Yet, lasting solutions and transformative growth only emerge through honest, often uncomfortable, dialogue. Interestingly, this societal pressure to conform extends also to the realm of social media and digital interactions, where superficiality has become the default mode. The likes, shares, and fleeting comments reinforce the idea that quick validation is more important than genuine connection. The culture of performative politeness can create a facade where people are more concerned with appearances and acceptability than truth and authenticity. Such environments deepen the divide between superficial appearances and inner reality. In a world dominated by noise, whether from social media, incessant notifications, or the constant chatter of modern life, the true power of silence often goes unnoticed or undervalued. Yet some of the most profound moments in human history and personal development have been rooted in silence and deliberate, meaningful dialogue. These moments reveal something essential: that genuine understanding and inspiration are often born not in the haste of words, but in the calm, receptive spaces between them. Think about the greatest scientists, artists, and thinkers, people like Leonardo da Vinci, Carl Jung, or Soren Kierkegaard. Many of their breakthroughs and insights did not arise from superficial exchanges, but from solitary contemplation, quiet observation, or deep, purposeful conversations. For example, Leonardo's notebooks contain pages of sketches and ideas created in long periods of solitude and reflection. He understood that silence and solitude are not signs of loneliness, but fertile grounds for creativity. Breakthrough ideas often emerge when the mind is allowed to wander freely, untethered from the superficial chit-chat of daily life. Similarly, some of the most powerful and transformative dialogues are experienced in moments of silence. Consider the serene silence that often accompanies moments of spiritual insight or meditation, where the mind is free from external distractions. In such moments, profound clarity often arises, revealing truths that are obscured by the noise of everyday interactions. The silence doesn't indicate inactivity. Rather, it signifies a space where the mind can absorb, reflect, and synthesize knowledge and experience at a deeper level. Storytelling traditions across cultures underscore this truth. Many indigenous tribes and Eastern philosophical traditions emphasize the importance of listening in silence, listening not merely to words but to the unspoken feelings, nuances, and energies that lie beneath. The Zen master, for instance, often remains silent during sessions, believing that silence facilitates a form of communication more powerful than words. It's a space where the listener is fully present, open to receiving insights that words could never fully convey. In the realm of meaningful conversations, silence becomes a vital tool. When two or more individuals engage in a dialogue rooted in authenticity and openness, moments of silence often punctuate the exchange, pauses that allow each person to process, reflect, and deepen their understanding. These pauses are not awkward but sacred, giving space for internal synthesis, emotion, and contemplation. Sometimes the most insightful ideas emerge not during spoken words but in the reflective stillness that follows a well-articulated thought. Take, for example, the philosophical dialogues of Socrates. His method was less about delivering answers and more about asking questions that urged others to think deeply. Often his conversations included pauses, moments of silence that prompted profound reflection. Socrates understood that true wisdom doesn't come solely from speaking but from listening to oneself and others with patience and intent. These silent moments foster trust and openness, enabling genuine exploration of complex ideas. This appreciation for silence and meaningful dialogue extends to numerous fields, from psychotherapy to art. In psychotherapy, the therapist's silence can be a powerful catalyst for growth, encouraging the client to continue, to reflect, and to trust their inner voice. The silent acknowledgement of a client's pain or truth can be more impactful than words. Similarly, in art and music, space, pauses, silence, or negative space are essential for creating meaning. Sometimes what is left unsaid or unshown resonates more deeply than the most elaborate expression. In personal relationships, the most profound connections often foster silence rather than words. Think of a moment shared between two friends or lovers, an understanding that requires no words, merely a look or a gentle touch. These silent exchanges communicate volumes, transcending language to reach a realm of shared understanding and empathy inaccessible through speech alone. In these moments, silence becomes a bridge that connects hearts on a level beyond words. Furthermore, the intentional use of silence can be a form of respect or power. In leadership or negotiation, silence can compel the other party to reveal more, to reflect, or to reconsider. It demonstrates confidence and patience, signaling that one values authenticity over superficial agreements. It also provides space for honest emotion or insight to surface, fostering trust and clarity. In spiritual traditions, silence is often revered as the highest form of communication. The practice of meditation, silent retreats, and contemplative prayer are all rooted in the idea that stillness allows us to listen inwardly and connect with truths beyond verbal expression. These practices help us tune into the subtle energies of life, our inner voices, and the interconnectedness of all things, a depth seldom accessible through superficial speech or constant activity. Why is silence so powerful? Because it creates space for understanding, space for acceptance, and space for genuine connection. In a noisy world, silence demands patience. It teaches us to listen more carefully, not just to words, but to the emotional and spiritual currents beneath. Navigating social interactions as a thinker or someone who craves depth can be a delicate dance. The challenge isn't to isolate yourself entirely, but to skillfully steer conversations toward meaningful territory while maintaining social grace. It's about developing the art of subtle influence, learning how to engage authentically, set boundaries, and evoke more profound dialogue without seeming aloof or dismissive. The first step is cultivating a conscious awareness of the conversations you find draining or superficial. Recognize when a discussion is veering into triviality and develop the ability to gently redirect it. For example, if someone begins talking about the latest celebrity gossip, you might acknowledge the comment politely, then pivot by asking, "That's interesting. What do you think about more meaningful topics, like how societal values are evolving or the nature of happiness?" This gentle redirect guides the conversation toward more substantive ground without dismissing the other person or coming across as dismissive. Another powerful technique is asking open-ended questions. Instead of responding with yes, no answers or superficial remarks, pose questions that invite reflection and insight. For instance, if someone mentions a recent trip, instead of saying, "Sounds nice," ask, "What was the most surprising thing you learned about yourself during that journey?" Such questions encourage others to think more deeply, fostering conversations that reveal their values, beliefs, and inner world. Over time, this approach can transform mundane exchanges into opportunities for genuine connection and mutual growth. Developing active listening skills is equally crucial. When engaging in conversation, turn your focus entirely on the speaker, not just for politeness, but to genuinely understand their perspective. Show your attentiveness through eye contact, nodding, and thoughtful silence, which signals that you value their insights. Sometimes, simply listening deeply signals enough. People often appreciate being truly heard and will open up in response. This practice often naturally encourages richer, more authentic dialogue as people feel safe to share more meaningful experiences or opinions. Another strategy involves learning when to speak and when to remain silent. Not every moment requires contribution. Sometimes, holding back and allowing space for silence can be more impactful than filling every pause with words. For example, after posing a thought-provoking question, resist the temptation to jump in immediately with an answer. Instead, let the silence settle. This gives both parties time for reflection and can lead to a more thoughtful exchange. Silence in conversation is an underrated art. It creates a breathing space where ideas can ferment and deeper understanding can emerge. Moreover, it's helpful to develop a set of conversational anchors, topics or questions that naturally lead to more meaningful discussion. These can include philosophical questions like, "What do you think gives life its purpose?" or ethical dilemmas such as, "Do you believe people are inherently good or bad?" Having a mental list of such questions or topics allows you to gently steer conversations without seeming abrupt or intrusive. When the situation warrants, you can introduce these topics with tact. "I've been pondering about how different cultures interpret happiness. What's your view?" This approach subtly elevates the discussion and invites thoughtful sharing. Another potent skill is learning how to gracefully decline engaging in small talk when you're not interested. For example, if someone attempts to draw you into trivial banter, you might respond with a polite but firm statement like, "I prefer to dive into topics that challenge us to think deeper," or "I find that I get more value from conversations that explore meaningful ideas." Such responses are respectful but assert your desire for authenticity. Over time, this language can help set social boundaries without alienating others, especially if delivered with warmth and kindness. You can also consider creating separate social spaces or circles where deeper conversations naturally flourish. Find like-minded individuals, join discussion groups, attend meetups centered around philosophy, literature, or science, or participate in online forums that prioritize thoughtful dialogue. When you surround yourself with people who value depth, it becomes easier to indulge your curiosity without feeling out of place. These environments also serve as a buffer against the superficiality of broader social contexts, allowing you to recharge intellectually and foster genuine connections. Balancing tact and authenticity is vital. It's possible to navigate social interactions with integrity by expressing your preferences without dismissing others. For example, you could say, "I enjoy learning about people's perspectives on life's big questions. You never know what insights might emerge." This kind of statement subtly signals your inclination toward meaningful discussions while remaining friendly and approachable. The goal is to create a space where others feel comfortable sharing more than just surface details. Lastly, remember that social skills are learnable, and their mastery takes time and practice. Every conversation provides an opportunity to refine your approach, whether by asking better questions, developing patience for silence, or setting gentle boundaries around superficial talk. As you become more skilled at steering conversations towards substance and embracing moments of stillness, you'll find it easier to maintain your authenticity without social alienation. As we reach the end of this exploration into the depths of human thought, social interaction, and philosophical insight, it's worth pausing to reflect on the tremendous potential each of us holds. For the curious, the reflective, the thinker, that innate desire to seek truth and meaning, this journey has been about recognizing and nurturing that inner spark. It's a reminder that the path to genuine understanding is often paved with moments of solitude, silence, and deliberate effort. It's about choosing quality over quantity, depth over superficiality, authenticity over conformity. Imagine a world where more people dared to embrace their inner philosopher, where we rejected the trivial pursuits that distract us from our true purpose, and instead dedicated time to questioning, reflecting, and connecting meaningfully. This isn't just an ideal, it's a possibility that begins with each individual making a conscious choice. Today, you have that choice. Every conversation you engage in, every moment of silence you embrace intentionally, and every question you dare to ask can become an act of rebellion against superficiality. It's about understanding that authentic connection is a rare and precious gift, one that requires vulnerability, patience, and a refusal to settle for surface-level interactions. This is the path that leads to self-discovery, profound relationships, and a greater grasp of humanity's shared struggles and triumphs. Now I want you to think of your own life as a canvas, an opportunity to shape a world of depth, sincerity, and insight. Whether in the quiet moments of reflection, the meaningful conversations you seek, or the ways you choose to navigate social situations, your actions can ripple outward. Each deliberate choice to prioritize authenticity fuels a movement, one that elevates not only your understanding but also inspires those around you. If you've found value in what we've discussed today, consider taking it a step further. Make a conscious commitment to cultivate depth in your daily life. Start by observing your interactions. Notice when superficiality creeps in and gently steer your conversations towards substance. Embrace silence when appropriate, using it as a tool for introspection and connection. Seek out communities and individuals who share your passion for meaningful dialogue, and don't shy away from the tough questions and honest discussions that challenge your worldview. But beyond personal practice, I invite you to become a catalyst, an advocate for a culture that values depth, critical thinking, and authentic connection. Share your insights with friends, family, or colleagues who might need a gentle reminder that life's richest experiences often lie just beneath the surface. Lead by example, demonstrating that true fulfillment and understanding are worth the effort, the patience, and the vulnerability. And if you're eager to continue this journey of exploration and growth, then I have a special invitation for you. By subscribing to this channel, you'll join a community of inquisitive minds dedicated to delving beneath the superficial, questioning assumptions, and unlocking their full intellectual potential. Together, we can create a space where profound ideas flourish, a place where conversations inspire, challenge, and elevate us all. So, take that step today. Hit the subscribe button, activate notifications, and become part of a movement committed not just to superficial engagement, but to profound understanding and genuine human connection. Because in the end, the most meaningful adventure you can undertake is the one that leads you to discover not only the depths of the world around you, but also the depths within yourself. Remember, the path to a richer, more thoughtful life begins with a single step, an intentional choice to seek meaning, embrace silence, and engage deeply with the world and the people in it. This is your moment. Make it count.